Hello, welcome back. Gennaro, CEO of Cortex Solutions here, and we're going to be talking about cyber threat intelligence platforms, also known as CTIPs. And we've touched on this before when we talked more about what it means to use threat intelligence and how you can actually utilize it and what is it and why the importance of it. So the world of cybersecurity, as we know, is always evolving. That's how it's always going to be. And so the real use of the CTIPs is basically how can we do a shift, right, from being reactive to predictive, proactively doing threat hunting, and being able to use the intelligence that's been given and gathered to best put into place our own TTPs, right? Because if you think about it, and we talked about this before, all we're really doing is gathering information, being able to kind of correlate new information with old, seeing what happened in the past and being, okay, well, how can we prevent that? So the aggregation of all the different data you're collecting from all these different sources, from OSINT or from your firewall logs or from your firewall, like your next gen firewalls as well too. And I think one of the biggest things is going to be, and we talked about it before, those sharing centers, sharing and analysis centers, because again, there's just a whole collection of data anyway, right? It's all about, sharing exactly what we get, but in a way where it makes sense to other organizations. And a continuation of the core capabilities in this sense is going to be actionable insights and being able to put this into a real world perspective. Think about it like this. And we talked about it before. So just think back to when we were talking about like domains and malicious domains and URLs and everything like that. So an organization was under attack by a phishing campaign. And what they can do is they can use the CTIPs to cross-reference who the attacker is. And remember, we talked about you can research APTs, research their group, research what they're all about, and then map what they're doing against, the MITRE attack, the diamond model, or just looking at what attacks, type of attacks, and you can correlate with those unregistered or malicious domains or known databases that we know for a fact are housing malicious data and malware. Now, this would allow for the immediate blocking, right, and being able to take another deep dive from a forensic standpoint too. But why is it important? And we talked about the use of proactiveness. We talked about the use of having that faster active response time, and that's what's going to really matter. That, in my opinion, is basically being able to stop something a lot faster, because you can use those playbooks that we talked about before. You can use the collaboration of different environments, right? Because you gather information in these different environments or departments, if you will, and being able to bring it all together in an effort to, of course, build a better defense. That's why it's important to have these threat intelligence platforms, because all the attackers are going to do is bring on more attacks, bring on more threats. So it's going to be best, at least for us, if we do a little bit more on our end in regards to being able to utilize an intelligence platform. Now, how can we understand the different types? And we think back to it because we talk about strategic, operational, tactical, just in different ways, whether it's planning, right? Or in this case, we're looking at CTIPs, how we can enable an organization, right, to really hone in on these different types of threat intel. Because if you're looking at it from a strategic plan or from a business, it's all about the long-term planning and deciding on what is next? What can we do next? So these are all the ways you can go about understanding threat intelligence a little bit better as well. But how do we go about implementing this platform? Well, we talk about goals, and then being able to know exactly where that information is coming from or sourced from, very important. And then being able to tune that system, right, in a way where it's going to align with what the organization needs overall, and training the staff and being able to conduct ongoing monitoring and maintenance of everything that's happening. So there's some challenges though. We have false positives being one, overloading of data, because you can draw a lot of data from a lot of different sources, but that's why we tune. So it does come with the challenges of making sure that you're filtering correctly, and then overcoming some of the hurdles, right, when it comes to integration. Like if you are using a firewall, if you're using a SIEM, or if you're using the elastic stack. So let's talk about supply chain risk analysis and think about it, because the description that we're going to talk about is going to be similar to what we've discussed before. Understanding that there are dependencies within software. If you're using Linux, you can automatically assume that you're going to have dependencies, right, based upon the tool that you want to install. So think about it like this, but in a way where you're tying the information about that threat actor, information about what the vendor is and what type of software updates that they have, and you be able to really kind of go a little bit more in depth on that. And you can use tools such as Microsoft Defender ATP plus Threat Connect. And the process is you're going to analyze with the C-tips, you're going to analyze the CV listings, all the different data, and then cross-reference that with any indicator of compromises, because that's going to be linked to those software dependencies. Why is that? Well, think about it. If you have a indicator of compromise, and this indicator of compromise is going to be something software related on Adobe, right? And it's more so looking at like, how can we reference what I am seeing as far as like the symptom of having like a ransomware attack or a DDoS attack? How can I cross-reference that with something that is an indicator, right? As in slow response time, as in computers crashing, as in pop-ups. That's kind of what I'm talking about there. But again, it's been great. Gennaro, CEO of Cortex Solutions here, and we talked about the use of threat intelligence platforms brought by ACSMI. Hope you have a great one. Take care.